information is power.
How's it going, World Patriots? Well, second video in a day. Part 2, I guess we'll call this. But I want to start off with this Jussie Smollett case. This story was updated by Fox News a couple hours back. Felony criminal charges against Jussie Smollett approved, Chicago police say. Now, Bree had sent this over a little earlier while I was at work. And I think we all knew from the beginning it was a little bit suspect, to say the least, right? Now, authorities in Chicago on Wednesday approved felony criminal charges against Empire actor Jussie Smollett hours after he was officially classified as a suspect in a criminal investigation for allegedly filing a false police report in connection with his January 29 attack claims, police said. The update in the case was provided by the department's Chief of Communications Officer Anthony Guglielmi on Twitter, who said the Cook County State's Attorney's Office approved the disorderly conduct filing a false police report charges. Detectives will make contact with his legal team to negotiate a reasonable surrender for his arrest. So far, Smollett has not surrendered. His attorneys were made aware of the charges. All right, so here's an update, case update 6 hours ago. I guess this was possibly today. Yep. Case update. Jussie Smollett is now officially classified as a suspect in a criminal investigation by #Chicago Police for filing a false police report, Class 4 felony. Detectives are currently presenting evidence before a Cook County grand jury. Alright, so for those of you who are not aware, Smollett is an openly gay and black man. Reported that on January 29th he was attacked by two masked men as he was walking home from a Subway restaurant. He claimed that the men shouted racial and anti-gay slurs at him, poured a substance on him, threw a rope around his neck, and shouted, "This is MAGA country." Investigators combed through surveillance video from the area where Smollett claimed he was attacked, but were unsuccessful in locating footage of the beating. Now, apparently, guys, in Chicago, they have cameras like everywhere. They did find and release images of two people they said they wanted to question. All right, so here's photos of people of interest who were in the area of the alleged assault. And you can't really make out much, right? So remember, everybody jumped to conclusions, said this is, oh my God, this is ridiculous. This is just like the Catholic boys, right? The exact same story. Everybody jumped to conclusions, and absolutely an incorrect one, because we have to believe him right off the bat. He had so much support from people, and now I see even celebrities bagging on him. Joe Budden, the rapper, was just said, I totally don't believe it. A guy from Chappelle Show, Darnell, he was on Joe Rogan. He was saying the same thing. It's completely made up. And Joe Budden, he said, you know what, as a black man, I find it ridiculous that any black man would have a rope thrown around his neck that would not take it off immediately. And he said, furthermore, he said he didn't even call the police for 45 minutes after he got home because he didn't know if he was going to call the police or not. So he said he kept the rope over his neck because he didn't want to damage evidence. So you kept this rope on your neck 45 minutes prior, not even knowing if you're going to call the police or not because you wanted to preserve evidence. And then you got attacked and bleach thrown on you in sub-freezing weather. See if I can get an overlay of Chicago's weather for that day. I know it was brutal, they were saying. So in any event, you get bleach thrown on you, you get beat up. And the other part of the story, he said, yeah, they were hitting me and somebody was kicking me from behind, then all of a sudden it stopped. So just like that's it. They just beat him up, and then he had this little tiny scratch on his face. He said he got punched and he hit the other guy back. He got knocked down. They were kicking him, and all of a sudden it just stopped. So he had no bruises. He walked home, no problem apparently. He had a little scratch on his eye, and he had the rope around his neck. And conveniently enough, why I keep stressing how freezing, and on top of it got some substance that they're saying possibly bleach thrown on him, had his Subway sandwich in his hand as well when he got home. Come on. So these two people from the picture, two individuals who were questioned about the alleged crime, were arrested, police told Fox News on Friday. Although police did not elaborate on what crime was potentially committed, they said the individuals were not charged. Authorities had considered them to be suspects, however, according to Guglielmi at the time. The two men, whom police identified only as Nigerian brothers, were picked up at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport last Wednesday and taken into custody after returning home from Nigeria after police learned that at least one of the men worked on the Empire, his TV show that Smollett works on. Guglielmi confirmed that a search warrant was executed at the Chicago apartment where the men lived, but did not have any information about exactly what police found. On Friday evening, Guglielmi, I keep messing his name up, my apologies, tweeted that due to new evidence obtained through questioning, the individuals were, quote, released without charging. So you know what that means? They cooperated. The following day, police said Smollett was no longer considered a victim in their investigation. Police earlier said that the trajectory of the investigation shifted and that they wanted to conduct another interview with Smollett about the alleged hate crime. Now, from what I had understood going into this, that whole "this is MAGA," he had never brought that up until the second time that it was he was interviewed. He added that story, so the story changes. So when your story changes, people know. That's why detectives ask you questions over and over. They want to hear the same story every time. Any change in the story, they know you're hiding something, right? And they asked him for his phone records, and he was like, "What do you mean my phone?" That was like one of the first interviews, if not the first interview. "What do you mean my phone? I'm a victim here. What are you talking about?" So he didn't want to give up his phone records. And when he came back the second time, changed his story and had a printout of his phone records in like an Excel spreadsheet with numbers crossed out of it. By that time, they were already suspect looking into it, and they got his phone records. So what did they do immediately? The only numbers they looked into were the ones he crossed out, because supposedly he was on his phone with the agent at the time. There's allegations that they might have even found proof that one of these brothers might have actually bought the rope. And earlier, there was a letter that was sent, I think, to the Empire Set, where it was like, like a serial killer would write with different letters and written in like crayon and marker, all messed up, threatening him and calling him racial slurs and whatnot. So they think that these guys may have even helped him do that. So remember, we had this law that was put into motion by Kamala Harris started it, right? This whole anti-lynching thing. And then shortly thereafter, just a few months, right, we have this case of, quote, attempted lynching. A modern-day lynching, I believe a few politicians had said. So what are we doing here, right? They're literally making things up to make political people seem bad. And now, from what I understand, too, I was listening to, I don't even remember the guy. It's the English, maybe Paul Joseph Watson came on autoplay today, and I'm glad it did because it was very interesting. Apparently, a pro-MAGA couple had a gun pulled at them on like a Target or a Walmart in Kentucky. I'm not sure of the place exactly, but literally somebody pulled a gun on them because they were wearing like MAGA hats. This is the reason for stuff like that. People making up things like this. This is why this country is going to hell, because people are believing everything they see on TV. What about the people that were needed? They said they had like 20 or 12 or 20, I don't even know what it was, but it was an obscene amount of people, of detectives in Chicago that were working on this case. It's a hate crime. That's a serious, serious deal. Think of how many other cases these people could have been working on. Somebody used a good example. That's why you don't pull a fire alarm, right? Because if the fire truck comes and then somebody else needs a fire truck somewhere else and their house burns down, somebody dies, and that's your fault. Same scenario. All these police officers could have been doing other things, but they were dealing with this stuff. I hope if this guy did set it up, like all sorts of evidence is indicating he did, he needs to go to jail for that, because that is absolute bullcrap. And you got Don Lemon saying literally on TV today, Sean Hannity is going to eat his lunch all day. Tucker Carlson is going to eat Jussie Smollett's lunch all day. President Donald Trump is going to eat Jussie Smollett's lunch all day. Eat his lunch all day? Unreal. Like, how do these people think? I just don't get it. It's just all about pushing the narrative over and over and over again. Starting off at post 2840, Sebastian Gorka had put out a tweet, says Ann Coulter is now a never Trump conservative. Who would have thought, right? Flip-flopping. And that's the image text right there as well. Ann Coulter is now a never Trump conservative. Mitt Romney. Wire transfers are a convenient way of transferring money. Okay. All right, the next one, 2841. Within that one, they put 2840, Mitt Romney, Mitt Romney, Mitt Romney. Wire transfers are a convenient way of transferring money. And then we have a Twitter status. Happy hunting. All right, it's a tweet from Ann Coulter back on November 7th, 2012. I feel so sorry for Mitt Romney, but sorrier for the country that will never have him as president. So she's in Mitt Romney's pocket back then? Or maybe still now? So Anons get digging on some connections with her and old Mitt. 2842, we have two more Twitter statuses. All right, this is the same one again. Feel so sorry for Mitt Romney, but sorrier for the country that will never have him as president. And this one from February 17th, 2018. Poor Utah Republicans. If only they had a carpetbagging, flip-flopping, Trump-bashing, clueless twit of a Senate candidate. Oh, wait. Huh. That doesn't make sense. Has she turned her back on Mitt now, or is it playing coy? To those two Twitter statuses says, hypocrite? History of flip-flopping? What made her flop this time? Well, if you ask me, I would say it was the deal on the border. You know, she was always griping anyways, right? She never truly had President Trump's back. Wire transfers are an effective way at swaying opinions. Oh, yes. Shills come in many different forms. Race to build a base of followers. To build worth. To draw funds. Common these days? Oh, yes. So we see people do it, and we've seen a few people do it on this, on the Q topic itself, right? All right, this is the last one I got for you now. Came in at 10 p.m. It's about 10:30 right now. 2843. We had a link that this came to, and it's this image I will lay across. It says, John Solomon says, the end of the Mueller probe is near, and there will be no charges against the president. Who would have thought that? And to that he says, but you knew that already, hence why ASSDNYMW, hence why Adam Schiff, Southern District of New York, Maxine Waters are attempting to keep the insurance scheme ongoing post-Mueller. Fear. The fun begins directly after. We'll make the Super Bowl look like a puppy show. Oh, I so can't wait for it, and I know you guys can't too. This is getting so good, and when it finally drops and people start scurrying for the door on their side, oh, I just can't wait. I'm going to have to give out a few I told you so's, but inevitably I'll be helpful and try to, help people see the light, but man, it is going to be a great time when these people go down for the horrible things they've done. And we're not just talking, election stuff and watching President Trump. For those of you who are newer, they get into some much deeper, darker things. But that's all I got for you guys tonight. I appreciate you tuning in. Thumbs up, like, subscribe.